Congressman Riley, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about an issue that has been going back and forth for many years now. It seems like there might be some movement on limitations on congressional stock trading. Talk a little bit about the ban that you were introducing with Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez that has now kind of been revamped and renegotiated into something that might have a chance of passing in this Republican House.
Yeah, well, look, you know this about me, Luke. I'm not really a politician. This is the first office I've ever held, and I came here to take on an economy that's just rigged against people and a political establishment that I think is just frankly corrupt. And you see it across upstate New York every single day. Folks are really struggling to get by, whether it's paying the utility bills, the groceries, and at the same time that's happening. We see all these big corporations, special interests have massive profits, and then they're shoving a bunch of that cash into the pockets of the politicians. And people are just sick and tired of getting squeezed every month and then seeing the politicians getting rich with these backroom deals and these corporate PAC checks and the special interests doing better and better. And so when I came here, I said I was going to work to drain the swamp and change that. So I'm one of the few people here who doesn't take corporate PAC money. I'm trying to ban corporate PACs altogether. One of the few Democrats on the constitutional amendment to impose term limits. And I've been working with anybody from either side of the aisle to try to limit insider trading, which is members of Congress trading stock. That should not be happening here. And so that's what this is all about. So this bill, it would take a really important step forward by banning members of Congress from buying stock when they're in office. And really importantly, it would require a 7-day public notice before selling stock. So no more backroom deals, no more folks coming here and getting rich off of inside information. Serving the public should be about serving the public and not making yourself rich.
Yeah. What got lost in that negotiation? Obviously, there was a discharge petition brought forward by Congresswoman Paulina Luna. Um, then some Republicans peeled off and did some negotiations with Mike Johnson to come to this new bill. I believe you're the first Democrat to join this new bill that's backed by seemingly the Republican leadership. What got lost in that process? What changed about the bill?
Look, I think this is just part of how negotiations go. I'm also supporting and a sponsor of the initial legislation, which would go further. But I also think anything we can do to restrict insider trading in Congress is something we should be doing. And so, there's a whole bunch of different proposals. I want to get a proposal done that is going to get enough support to get done because we cannot continue this way with the corruption in our politics. It's hurting people. When you talk about corruption in politics and you talk about draining the swamp, it's not this abstract thing. The fact that you have people around here who are engaged in insider trading and making themselves rich off of the information they have, that hurts people at home because it means the decisions that they're making are based on their own portfolio and their own interests and not the interests of the people that we represent. This idea of having term limits, like that hurts people. You got all these career politicians around here who make decisions based on their own political survival, even if it's not the best decisions for the people at home. The corporate PAC money, this isn't like an abstract thing. Look at the utility companies right now and what they're doing. They're making insane profits. Like it's gross how much money the utility monopolies are making. And then they take a bunch of that money, put it into corporate PAC checks, and shove it in the pockets of all these politicians. And then those politicians, instead of fighting the utility companies, they're going along for the ride. And we've seen it across upstate New York for decades. I mean, this is how the economy has gotten hurt across the region. And so it's got to change. And at the end of the day, like if we have ways to make change and make progress on this, I'll work with anybody to do it.
Yeah, you faced some criticism for joining on to this bill, including from Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. She wrote on Twitter last night, "The real bipartisan stock trading bans bill is already ready. Do not buy this scam bill being put forward by the wealthiest members of Congress." Don't fold now is how she ended that tweet. Are you folding, Congressman?
No, I'm being very practical about this, and I'm doing what needs to be done to get something done to make our political system less corrupt. Look, she's right in the sense that there are proposals that would go further and do more, and I support those proposals. I helped write several of them. I'm a co-sponsor of the legislation that she's talking about. But I came here to get stuff done, and we now have an opportunity in front of us to ban members of Congress from buying stock and to require 7 days notice before they sell stock. The choice in front of us right now is the status quo, which is corrupt as hell and broken and hurting people across upstate New York, or very, very meaningful reforms that will ban these people from buying stocks while they're in office.
So you don't think that the bill that you put forward initially with Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, you don't think that has a chance of passage because she disagrees.
What I do know has a chance of passage. This is the thing. I'm working in a way that's practical and based on what we can accomplish. What I know has a chance of passage is a restriction that's going to ban people from buying stock, and it's going to require 7 days public notice to trade stock. I mean, think about the history with this, Luke. It was what, 14 years ago that we had a law passed that even required disclosure. Like all these corrupt politicians were making all these stock trades in a back room in the shadows with no disclosure at all. It's taken us 14 years to get to this point where we're finally saying, let's ban stock purchases altogether. Let's make progress. And look, I would
Well,
love
she
to.
says it continues to allow members of Congress to own, trade, and sell stock. And she says it's with less transparency so that the public can no longer track them. Is that true?
No, that's just not right. So it very clearly bans members of Congress from buying stock. So right now, think about the situation we're in right now. Think about how corrupt this is. Right now, you've got a situation where members of Congress can get inside information from a hearing or from a briefing and then turn around the next day and buy stock based on that. That is corrupt as hell. It has to stop. And this proposal would stop it. Right now, the current situation, you can go ahead and dump a bunch of stock based on inside information. And then the public doesn't even learn about that until weeks later. And what this would do is say you cannot do that unless you're giving the public 7 days notice. Tell me that the status quo, as corrupt as it is somehow better than banning purchases of
And I don't
stocks.
think I don't think that's what's being said, right? What
Yeah.
the Congresswoman is saying is that she believes that original bill can still pass. And she says that this bill that you've signed on to is leadership's attempt to kill the existing bipartisan proposal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I get it. I came here to get stuff done. I came here to get stuff done. I didn't come here to play this political game that people play around here where like the Democrats have to get a win or the Republicans have to get a win and it's a zero-sum game and who's up and who's down in Washington. And is it a Democratic bill or a Republican bill
Well,
that's
the last thing before we'll let you go on this, I know you have a meeting to get to. I don't think that what she's doing actually is about Democrat or Republican. She's making this about class and wealth. She says the bill is a set of new vehicles and loopholes written by and for the wealthiest members of Congress to evade tracking of their trades. Um, I mean, I don't. You're somewhat wealthy. Like, do you think that's a shot at you?
I think what this bill does is it takes a meaningful step toward ending the corruption in our politics. Look, this is like we have to be practical about this stuff. Would I like to have a bill that would completely ban all stock purchases, all stock sales, all stock holdings among everybody? Of course I would. Are we going to get that done in this Congress, in this political environment? No. What we can get done is a very, very important step forward that would ban folks from buying stock and require a 7 day public disclosure to sell it. That is that is such an improvement over the current situation. We should take it.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why yourself and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez are on different ends of the spectrum politically, certainly. So,
But I don't think that's right
okay.
in the sense, Luke, because the bill that she's talking about, I also support,
Yeah.
and I sponsored it with her, and have worked with her on it. The question here is, are we going to get something done or not? And yeah, of course, like there's always going to be the like more that we can do, and I think we should do more. We have an opportunity in front of us right now to do something very, very significant. And I refuse to squander that opportunity just based on political calculations. I just don't work for the political parties. I work for the folks in upstate New York, and they want to get this done.
Congressman Josh Riley, really appreciate it. One of these days you will become a politician. I'm looking forward to when
Yeah.
that transition happens, but we
There's
haven't
like
seen
a
it yet, I
Rubicon
guess. So
cross.
you'll
Yeah.
never admit it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
man. Take care.